Hey guys, GSP on GSP Talk Sports, and we're back with football round 17. But before we get into round 17, um, we had some EFL action, Carabao Cup action this week. And on the Tuesday and Wednesday, we had Chelsea beating Cardiff 3-1, City beating Brentford 2-0, no surprise there. Newcastle beating Fulham 2-1, right? And we have a Arsenal game coming up. Is it Monday? Um, Arsenal has to play Palace. So these were the quarterfinalists. Uh, Chelsea, City, and Newcastle moving on, and Arsenal, Palace to decide on the other semi-finalist team there. Then we had Copa del Rey. In Spain, the notable ones, we had Barca winning 2-0 and Real winning 3-2. So they're moving on. This is just round of 32. Intercontinental Cup. Yeah, so the European winners, Champions League winners playing the South American winners. And we had PSG and Flamengo playing to a 1-1 draw, and PSG won 2-1 on penalties. So PSG becoming the third six trophy winning team there after Bayern Munich and Barcelona. On Thursday, we had Italian Super Cup semi-final, Napoli versus AC Milan. Napoli won 2-0. So Napoli on to the final. And then Friday, we had Bologna versus Inter. And it was a 1-1 draw at full time. And then Bologna, they prevailed 3-2 on penalties. Yeah. So all of that happened during the week. And then we started Saturday in EPL. So the actual preview for this round 17 football, we have Newcastle versus Chelsea. Anyway, Alex, let's see. Newcastle in 12 versus fourth place Chelsea, high flying. Newcastle coming off a 2-1 win over Fulham in the EFL, and Chelsea coming off the 3-1 win over Cardiff in the EFL. That's after Newcastle lost 1-0 to Sunderland, notably in the league, and Chelsea would have won 2-0 over Everton. Newcastle with 8 goals in the last 5 and no clean sheet in the last 9, but they have won the previous 2 meetings against Chelsea. Chelsea with 7 in the last 5 and 8 clean sheets. And going with a prediction of a Chelsea win in this one. So let's see if Alex's team would be able to get the better of Newcastle in this, to keep pace with the top 2, Arsenal and City at the moment. Moving on the Saturday EPL, we have Bournemouth versus Burnley. Bournemouth in 13th versus 19th place Burnley. Bournemouth coming off the 4-4 draw with MANU. What a game. And Burnley coming off the 3-2 loss to Fulham. Bournemouth, 8 in the last 5 goals. Well, 8 goals in the last 5. They won the previous 2 meetings versus Burnley, by the way. But they haven't won a match in 7. All right. And Burnley, only 4 goals in the last 5, and they haven't won in 7 as well. So I'm going to go with a prediction here. Bournemouth, I go with 2-1. Bournemouth win there. Moving on, we have Brighton versus Sunderland. Brighton in 10th versus Sunderland 8th. Close mid-table teams here. Brighton coming off the 2-0 loss to Liverpool. Sunderland coming off a big 1-0 win over Newcastle. Yeah. Brighton with 8 in the last 5, Sunderland with 5 in the last 5. I'm going to have to go with a draw in this one, Brighton versus Sunderland. So let's see how that prediction plays out. Moving on, keeping on the Saturday in EPL, we have 2nd place City versus 18th place West Ham. I'm supporting West Ham, boy. City coming off a 2-0 win over Brentford in the EFL. West Ham coming off the 3-2 loss to Villa, high-flying Villa. City with 15 in the last 5, 15 goals. And they haven't lost to West Ham in the last 8 meetings. And they have Mr. Haaland with 17 goals, top scorer. West Ham with only 6 goals in the last 5, and they haven't won in 5, no clean sheet in 13. Predicting a City win. Hoping I'm wrong. So let's see. 20th place Wolves versus 15th place Brentford. Wolves coming off the 2-0 loss to Arsenal, a game they shouldn't have really lost, scoring all 3 goals in this 2-1 loss. Brentford coming off the 2-0 loss to City. Heartbreak for them as well. And we have Wolves with only 2 goals in the last 5, and they haven't scored they haven't kept a clean sheet or won a match in the last 12. That's real pressure there for Wolves. Bottom of the table, not looking like they're going to get out of this rut here. Brentford coming off the 2-0 loss to City. They have 4 in the last 5 and no clean sheet in 8. And I'm going to have to go with a Brentford win. So let's see. I hope Wolves could get something out of it, but hardly likely based on current form. Then we have Spurs in 11th place versus 7th place Liverpool, and missing Salah. Salah is out to the African Nations Cup. Spurs coming off the 3-0 loss to Forest, surprisingly. Liverpool coming off a 2-0 win over Brighton. Spurs with only 8 in the last 5. Liverpool with 9 in the last 5. Won the previous 2 matches against Spurs, and they haven't lost in 5 games. Thank you. Back on track a little bit, and we have a lot of injury problems. Gomez and Gakpo, the most notable injured. But I'm going to have to go to Liverpool win away to Spurs here. Spurs to hopefully continue to be Spursy, just as they lost to Forest. Hopefully Liverpool is on a run here. Everton in 9th versus Arsenal in 1st. Everton coming off the 2-0 loss to Chelsea, and Arsenal coming off the 2-1 win over Wolves. Whether they deserve to win that or not, yeah, that's up in the air. Everton only 6 goals in the last 5. Arsenal with 9 in the last 5, and they have the most clean sheets, 8. And I'm predicting a draw in this one. So let's see if Everton could get something out of this game against Arsenal. The shower money is on Arsenal win, but I think Everton could get a draw. Moving on to Leeds versus Palace. Leeds in 17th versus 5th place Palace. Palace flying high. Leeds coming off the 1-1 draw with Brentford. They have 10 goals in the last 5, but no clean sheet in 13. And Palace coming off a 2-2 draw in the Conference League. They have 8 goals in the last 5, and they've won the previous 2 meetings against Leeds. And I have to go with a prediction of a Palace win. So Palace to keep pace with the top set here, flying high in 5th. Then moving on the Saturday in the Serie A, we have Juve in 5th versus Roma in 4th. So close to top of the table clash here. Juve coming off that big 1-0 win over Bologna, and Roma coming off a 1-0 over Como. Juve with 8 in the last 5. They have drawn the last 3 against Roma, and Roma with 6 in the last 5. My prediction is a Juve win. Hoping Juve can win and keep climbing the table. Continuing Saturday in La Liga, we have Real 2nd place versus 9th place Sevilla. And we have Real with 9 in the last 5, and they have Mr. Mbappe top scorer with 17. Sevilla with 7 in the last 5. Real coming off the 3-2 win in Copa del Rey, and Sevilla coming off a 1-0 loss in the Copa del Rey. And yeah, although Real is struggling at the moment, I'm going to have to go with a Real win in this one. So hopefully Real wins, keeps pace with Barca, and keeps moving up the table. And moving on to Sunday in the EPL, we have Villa in 3rd place, high-flying potential title contenders, versus 6th place MANU. And we have Villa coming off the 3-2 win over West Ham, and MANU coming off the 4-4 draw with Bournemouth. Villa with 12 in the last 5, and they have won the last 9 meetings against MANU. MANU with 11 goals in the last 5, scoring up a good bit, but they haven't lost to Villa in the last 6. Sorry. So Villa won the last 9 matches straight, and MANU haven't lost to Villa in the last 6. So hopefully that changes, and I'm going to go with a Villa win. La Liga on the Sunday, we have third place Villarreal versus first place Barca. Villarreal coming off the 2-1 loss in the Copa del Rey. Barca coming off a 2-0 win in Copa del Rey. Villarreal with 9 goals in the last 5 and the most clean sheets in La Liga with 7. Barca with 14 goals in the last 5. But I'm going to have to predict, going out on a limb, a draw in this match, hoping Villarreal could hold Barca. Drop some points there. Moving on to Monday in the EPL, we have Fulham versus Forest. Fulham in 14th versus 16th place Forest. Big battle close to the bottom of the table here. Fulham coming off the 2-0 loss to Newcastle. They have 11 goals in the last 5, but they won the previous 3 games against Forest. And Forest coming off the big 3-0 win over Spurs, and they have only 6 goals in the last 5. 3 of that came against Spurs. So predicting a draw in this Fulham versus Forest. And then also on the Monday, we have the Italian Super Cup, Napoli versus Bologna. It would be good to see Bologna win a title, although Napoli is more or less the favorites here. Yeah, Napoli win. Hoping Bologna could spring an upset because, my team in Italy is Juve, so I mean, Napoli is Maradona's former side, but, yeah, let's see. And then also on Monday, just to note, we have Africa Cup of Nations starting in Morocco. So who's your African team? Salah, Egypt. And yeah, what's a prediction? Should be a really big tournament. Everybody's looking forward to this. Morocco, just off the bat, are favorites. Some of the other nations, like the normal Ghana, can't count out like Nigeria, Ivory Coast, those other teams. So Africa Cup of Nations should be exciting. We'll do some coverage of this as well. And yeah, football round 17. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe. GSP on GSP Talk Sports. Thanks, guys.